Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Folks, I wanted to open up an interactive discussion here, and there wasn't a whole lot of timing or warning given. So I'm hoping that some folks will join the live and that people will comment in and be part of the discussion that we're going to have today. Today it is, how much grace to extend. And let me turn that around a little bit because we're getting a lot of glare there. There we go. How much grace to extend. So when you extend grace to somebody, that is, you cut somebody else some slack, right? You are giving someone the ability to perhaps act out of character. You're giving somebody the ability to perhaps miss a payment. You're giving someone else, and you're not holding it against them, but you're extending grace. You're giving them the opportunity to make good, right? To be someone that participates well. Hey, it's Glenn. Glenn, welcome, buddy. I think this is the first time you've joined me on a live. Glenn is an awesome dude. If you've followed me live for any length of time, and I've talked to you about my first trip to Bologna, and I told you that someone whispered in my ear that I looked lost on a bus, that was Glenn. That's how I met Glenn. So, Glenn, welcome to the show, man. Today's conversation, I want to try and keep it somewhat lighthearted, but it's about a subject that is kind of hard sometimes to come across. And so my question is, how much grace do you extend to others? As in, when is it time to give someone a break, but when is it time to cut the cord, cut that person off? In business, it can be a real flexible answer, that's for sure. And it can be an expensive decision. So I wanted to make sure that I kind of open this up on a positive note. So on a positive note, Mañana No Mas as an agency, I typically deal with, the top 99% of individuals and people out there that engage in business. I typically deal with people that are positive, that are, the glass is half full. They don't ask for a ton of things without having, budget or something to barter with and come to the table and try and put a deal together. So in a lot of instances, I work with the finest of the fine, the cream of the crop, as someone at the Marine Retailers Association keeps reminding me, right? They say, oh, the dealers in our association, they are the cream of the crop, right? Because I work with the Marine Retailers Association and do some of their training. Every now and then, that 1%, that 1 or 2% of the people, I'm going to move this again. Sunlight's coming through this window right here. And even though the blind is drawn, it's a blinding thing, blind and blinding. So when I think about, every now and then that 1% or that 2% client gets through the portal, right? Through the gateway. And then you have to figure out, well, how much grace do I extend to this individual before I pull the plug, before I back out, before I get through? And I wanted to just kind of open that up for discussion with folks and make sure that if you're signing into this live, tell me where you're from. Let me know where you're calling in from. Like I said, I met Glenn when I was in Italy, and then I know that he lived in Ireland for a while. He's got family in California. And so, I like to stay connected to folks and find out where they're from, what they do. The other thing is, if you've got comments and questions, go ahead and participate. Like, I want this to be interactive. So if you want to, join in the conversation and bring things in, certainly appreciate that. Now, I was thinking just today, I had a new meeting with a new contact, a new network person, and it was a referral from one of these great clients that I have. So again, I have really, really great clients, and they make referrals, and they send people in, and they pay their bills on time, and all of those things come together and they work really, really well. Every now and then you get one where you say, okay, I can do this. Let's say, like, from the web agency perspective. So from the web agency perspective, I'll say, hey, I can build that package for you for $7,000. And the person, the customer, does their job. Their job is, well, I don't need this, and this. I only need these three things. How much would it be if I took care of this and you take care of that? And you go, oh, okay, well, that's now we're down to $4,000. And they go, okay, well, what if I do this, and this? Okay, well, I could do that for $3,000. And so you finally go, okay, so now we've agreed on the scope of work. It was here. Now it's here. It's $3,000. With Mañana No Mas, you prepay for your services, right? There's a reason for that. You prepay for your services, and then we get started for you. So once you start working with somebody, you start to realize, like, oh, they don't have that ready. They don't have this ready. They don't have this, ready to go. They haven't done this work in advance. And so you start coming across all these obstacles. So you send the emails and you're like, hey, our proposed deadline was this date, but you're missing A, B, and C for us to continue. Now you're missing A and B for us to continue. You've gone past this deadline. When do you plan to have this done? And you keep extending this grace. Now, in some cases, clients will come to me and they'll say, hey, now that I've built this really cool website, how do I get an audience to it? How do I get a mail list? How do I market to people? Well, the marketing wasn't part of the scope of work that you originally paid for. So we can consult you on that. We can add tools. We can filter a list for you. There's all these things. There's tons of things that we can do, but it's not free. So how much grace do you extend to people that seem limited in their abilities? How much of a head start, how much of a hand up do you give somebody that seems to be a little bit down in position before you have to kind of cut that cord? Now, the reason I say all this is very recently, I just went through this with a client where they didn't come to the table with everything they said that they had. So the project got delayed. And as I continued to work with their extended change requests over and over and over again, I was tracking my hours, and I was going over my hours in what I had allotted for the project because of their lack of preparedness and lack of education in this space. So we met on Zoom a few times. I gave them a few tutorials. I made a few tutorial videos, and I was like, this is what you need to provide in order for this project to come to a close. And then I could tell that money was becoming an issue. And we all know that these things happen over time. But as a consultant, you can see somebody's office environment changes in the background of Zoom. They might go from a nice office to talking in their car to calling you from a motel, right? They might go from meeting you in business-oriented places to meeting you in parks. Now, some people love the outdoors, and some people are on vacation, and some people like to travel by camper van. Like, there's reasons why some of these things happen. But if you notice these things happening while you're seeing a degradation in services or participation, you have to ask yourself, is this person financially prepared to finish this project? And so it goes on, and then we get the project done. And after we get the project done, the customer is like, I changed my mind, I want my money back. Well, that's not how the internet works. You spent that labor, you spent those hours. Not only that, but you have a copy of a fully functional website that's only missing the pieces you never provided, right? So when you work with Mañana No Mas, you have a staging environment so you can see your website in real life. You have access to a client portal that shows you all of the steps and processes of the project that we run for you. And then when we have clients in Mañana No Mas, not only do they have access to the staging site and to the portal, but we also meet via Zoom and through a messaging platform that allows us to stay in communication on the project and update each other, as to what we're doing. So there's never an extended period of time where the client goes, I don't know what's going on with my stuff. And so we have all that. And when someone gets to the end of a project and says, I changed my mind, it's not like returning a pair of shoes. You already spent the time and you have the product. So it's never I didn't get it, because you got it. Like, here it is. Not only that, but there's a receipt that says you've downloaded this package. And so all of that's there. Now, When that happens, how much grace do you extend? Would you give away 5 hours of your labor? Would you give away 10 hours of your labor? Would you give away 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of your labor um, to a not even a friend? Like, so that is like, that's a thought. Like, as a business owner, how much are you prepared to give away and extend grace for before you go, nah, I'm done? Nope, I'm done. Well, in my case, it ended up being about $3,000. So, and again, I'm trying to say this as positively as possible. I've got some really great clients. I really do. I've got wonderful, awesome clients. But when you are an online business and you run your things like through PayPal or Stripe or any of these other financial institutions, if a customer says, I want a refund, and you say, no, I'm not giving you a refund, if they file a claim with their credit card company, those companies just take the money back. They just go, okay, well, we'll just take that $3,000 back. So in my situation, I'm lucky. So, and I hate to say I'm lucky because it doesn't feel like luck, but again, well documented. I have a proposal. I have a signature. I have an agreement for work. I have a scope of work that's agreed upon. I have all of the emails. I have all of the Zoom meetings recorded. I have everything I need. But the customer said, I changed my mind. I want my money back. And I was like, you don't get your money back. You spent the hours. Like, not only did you spend the hours that were set aside for your project, I extended grace to you and I gave you software that you didn't pay for. And I gave you configuration for that software that you certainly didn't pay for. And I extended myself with hours of Zoom calls and tutorial videos that you said you were knowledgeable about, but you didn't have the knowledge for. So I extended the grace well beyond probably where I should have. And then when they asked for their money back, I said no. And then Stripe came along and said, well, we're taking that money back. All right. So Stripe takes the money back. And now it's up to me as the vendor to go back to Stripe, which will submit to their bank, right? Which will submit to the client's bank, all of the evidence as to not only did they receive their product, but they received an extension of the scope of work, and all of their work, all of their change requests and stuff were done in a timely manner. Like, here's the email report, here's the transaction report, here's the receipt from their download, here's this, here's that, right? So now I send all that in. Now, how long do you think it's going to take Wells Fargo to review that information and give me my $3,000 back, right? So that's a fair question. How long do you think it'll take Wells Fargo to review my proof, my evidence, and give me my $3,000 back? If they decide to give me the money back, because that's a big if, right? If they decide to give me the money back, they say it's 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months of review time before I get the $3,000 back. Did I mention I'm moving this month? So, and again, I want to say this in the most positive way possible. Mañana No Mas deals with, cream of the crop, top clients. I typically do a needs assessment meeting where if I identify that it's not going to be a good fit, or it's bad energy for the project, or it's a subject matter that doesn't make sense for us, I tell the client right away, like, hey, you might be better suited to go in this direction or that direction, or, Codable is a great source for you. It looks like you've got some custom options that you want to have developed, far and away from an implementation project, right? And so when that happens, I will forward those customers on appropriately. But as I do the needs assessment and I bring people into the fold of Mañana No Mas, it becomes important to say, okay, here's the scope of work. This is what we're going to do, and this is what you're compensating for. And then as these projects develop, there are times where you go, okay, well, I could add that feature for you, and I'll just do that. Or that image is completely the wrong size. Let me go ahead and edit that down for you. Or let me optimize your video for you. Or sometimes I'll host a product for somebody. I once had a client that didn't want any of the plugins in their own name. They wanted me to buy all the plugins, and then they would do the recurring payments and all that stuff through me. They didn't want the spam of all the plugin providers and software companies and stuff. They didn't want all the spam coming to them for the next perpetuity, right? For the next lifetime. And they were like, you already do business with all these people, so if you would just buy the plugins and then take all the messages, and coincidentally, I also get all of the messages from their website, right? So if a customer is trying to log in and they get a failed password or something like that, I get that message, I follow up on that, take care of that. That's a service that our agency provides, right? So if you want to run a website, but you don't want to have to deal with plugin notifications and updates and questions from your customers coming through your website, these are all services that Mañana No Mas can offer. Now, offering a service and giving away the service are two completely different things. And so that takes me back to where, as a business owner, and if you're watching this as a replay, put it in the comments because I'll see it later. Okay. Where do you feel comfortable extending grace? And how much grace are you willing to expend as a business owner before you cut the cord and tell somebody, I think we're done, right? I think your level of expectation is exceeding my willingness to provide. At what point do you go, this ain't gonna work? I would love it if people could be like honest and fill in the comments at wherever you see this video, because it's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn, it's on YouTube. So, and then as you guys, interact with the comment section here, I'll see it and I'll say, okay, hey, this would be a good thing to chat about or to bring up in another show or another thing. Now, for the record, I believe that the whole grace and cutting the cord thing, I think it needs to come down to a process. For instance, if I'm consulting with a automotive dealership and I'm training service writers on, how to mitigate risk, how to, overcome conflict and all of these things. When I am consulting with another business, I'll train service advisors. I'll say, hey, if the customer says A, B, or C, you need to discontinue communication with them and you need to escalate the conversation to upper management or to your legal team. So like if a customer, for instance, let's say a vehicle is 2 years old, it's under warranty, it's almost out on mileage, and the customer says, if I got to do this one more time, I'm going to call my attorney, for a lemon law, for a buyback. If the customer threatens interaction with a lawyer or buyback or what we call the Magnuson-Moss Act, discontinue conversation. Hey, I'm sorry you feel that way, Mr. Customer. I got to tell you, I have to extricate myself from this conversation. I will forward your contact information to my manager, and and someone will be getting back to you. Like, that's it. Like, you are out. Once a customer threatens legal action, anyone that's lower than upper management in any business probably needs to go, okay, well, I'm out, right? Used a piece of software and it, fried your computer and now you want to sue them for a new computer. Okay, out. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You have to talk to someone above my level. I believe it's really, really important from a process perspective that businesses have these types of gateways in place. But when I do a show like this and I come to you, the real question then becomes, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, when do you kind of pull back those reins a little bit? When do you go, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to have to let you go, Mr. Customer. Right? And those are hard decisions. People don't realize how hard those decisions are. But when you're balancing a household and a business and an office and clients and contractors and other employees, it's like, okay, how am I going to balance this? On one hand, I have a customer that I want to extend grace to, and I want to be nice, and I want to be a decent human being. And with my faith structure, I'm like, I need to extend grace to people as God extends grace to me. I need to treat people well. But then on the other side of that balancing act is I got to feed my family. I got to pay the bills. I have to finance the move in 3 weeks. I've got bills to pay of my own. You can't continue to give away services for free, extending grace to someone who is unappreciative. And so there's a lot of these things that kind of hit the balance, and it reminds me of this slide that I put up sometimes. Sometimes you got to blow it up and keep it real, right? Again, I want to end on a positive note. 99% of our clients are amazing people and business owners. I mean, I look at who I've brought on as clients and who I've kept as friends over the last, 15 years of being in business, right? So 15 years of serving hundreds of companies and clients, interacting with thousands of people through that, and looking at all the different projects that we've built, e-commerce, e-learning, blogging type websites, just information type places, right? Different databases we've connected to. I mean, I look at all of the different projects that we've done as an agency and I go, man, this is so cool. But every now and then one rises to the top and they ask for an extension of grace that they don't deserve. And you need to cut the cord. And I'm just looking for some feedback from you. How much grace are you willing to extend to somebody before you realize that this is a negative adventure? And how much grace would you extend before you go, like I just got to cut the cord? And then I'm interested in, how do you cut the cord? Are you confrontational? Do you call them up and go, hey, this is unacceptable, I'm going to have to let you go? You send an email that says, hey, it's unfortunate that your request for services are exceeding our bandwidth to supply a remedy. I suggest you go to A, B, and C for further work. I'm real interested in like your technique. So when do you make the decision to cut the cord, and how do you implement that decision? I would love to have that kind of feedback. Folks, I love talking to you. Sometimes the feedback, the emails, the questions, I've got some of you that email me directly after these, and those are some of the best interactions that I see, because you don't want to put your comment out in public. So I get to see it. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day. And I just want to go on record as saying, I was a real kick in the nuts to have, Stripe take the $3,000, right? I'm not going to lie. It's a real kick in the nuts. But in the grand scheme of things, looking at my faith, my friends, my family, my fellowship, my networks, it's just a drop in the bucket of everything else that goes well. So, you know what? And everything comes out in the wash, right? At the end of life, you get to see the replay and you go, okay, how did I react? How did I do? And in some cases, you'll disappoint yourself. And in other cases, you'll go, well, at least I was a good representative in that moment. And right now, I feel like I could be a good representative in that moment. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.